This is the Today with Tally podcast.
John TIG Tiegen, how are you, sir?
Hi, man. How you doing?
Hey, man. Another day, Hey, how are you feeling? Look, I know you were hospitalized a couple of weeks ago, week and a half ago or so for some back problems. And that's kind of where we're going to lead into this podcast. Now, explain what led you to the hospital and what you had to go through once you were released.
So I want to say is back pain. I believe it kind of started on Tuesday, Wednesday morning, woke up, got a little worse. And then it was just Thursday. Actually, I think it was Wednesday actually went in. I don't even remember now, but it was like something like that. It was like the 9th or 10th, but I couldn't even walk. I mean, it was so freaking painful. Had to try to use crutches. That didn't work because I couldn't swing my freaking legs. Dude, it was horrible. I don't think it's ever been that bad, but it's a old, Marine Corps injury 29 years ago now when it happened. So, it's not an age thing. It's just the mileage you put on your body, man. Honestly, is what it is.
So you would end up in the emergency room with this sudden onset of back pain. You would stay day and a half, 2 days. They released you with a walker and they sent you home with what you would thought would be some medicine, probably pills, to get this through. So, until you had further diagnostic testing done to find out what needs to be done to fix the actual cause of the problem and not just treat the underlying conditions. Now, you went to Walgreens when you were released from the civilian hospital to pick up your medication for your back. What happened at Walgreens?
So before we go to the Walgreens part, so they were giving me all kinds of pain meds all the way up to freaking even morphine. Nothing worked. So for me, I was just trying to get something to kind of help my body relax and not feel as much pain because nothing was stopping it. So it wasn't like I wasn't going in there. I wasn't trying to get opioids or nothing. Like I know a lot of people were saying that in the comments. Well, opioids, it's not gay dumbasses. It wasn't opioids what I was trying to get. It was more like what volume, whatever the hell they call it. Just kind of like a relaxer. That's all it was, just to try to help me not tense up and stuff like that. So it wasn't even opioids I was trying to get. So they get me the prescription. It was for two things. I can't remember. I think the other one was just kind of like Motrin or something. I can't remember. But again, nothing that was hinder me from actually driving or anything. So, because I don't like that crap anyways. So when they went there, actually the wife went because I couldn't do it. I was still in a lot of pain. And then plus I was trying to get up to the American Military Family event up in Denver. So that's why I was in a hurry up to, or in Castle Rock. So she dropped me off. I kind of got in the shower, crawled up the stairs. I couldn't freaking walk. Dude, it was freaking kind of funny and sad at the same time. But so she goes there, drops off the prescription. They didn't say anything. They didn't ask about insurance at the time or anything like that. So we get ready to go up there. The pain's starting to kick back in quite a bit. And we go to she goes into Walgreens and they pretty much turned her. She got in line, waited. They said, no, we don't accept the VA, whatever. We don't do that. So you're going to have to just go away. They didn't even offer saying, hey, we can fill it. You're going to have to pay cash for it. They just pretty much said, we can't fill it for you. So we left.
Even if you were going to pay cash for your prescription?
They didn't even offer that. They just said, we're not going to fill it because you're under VA insurance. That makes sense? Didn't to me.
No, not even a little bit, because we all know that we have undocumented folks in this country that use the ER system and the hospital system all the time, and they go get their prescriptions filled down at the local CVS or Walgreens. So why would somebody like you, even if you were saying, look, let's just completely take the veteran card off the table. And me, I'm just a private citizen, 100% Joe Schmo over here. I'm willing to pay out of pocket for these prescriptions. Why wouldn't they advance your ticket then and go ahead and proceed with that transaction?
Dude, I don't know. Again, the wife went in there. She said it. I asked her about that. She said they didn't even offer. They said they weren't going to fill it. That was it. And again, we just got to get going. I didn't have time to stand there and argue, and we left.
You then would start to think, how is this even possible? Right? I mean, really, there's so many veterans that end up in emergency rooms from sea to shining sea. And this is what happens when veterans are out and they get released from a civilian hospital. Now, I know if you were in the VA, you would have you may not have gotten the care that you've gotten at the civilian hospital, and perhaps they might have just turned you away at the ER.
Probably.
But if a doctor issues you medication at a VA, you can just go right down to the VA pharmacy and wait your hour and a half, whatever it may be. If they're busy, if they're not busy, you may get in, a little sooner, but you're going to go home with your medication.
Yeah.
Now, did you then perhaps maybe take that script and to get it filled at the VA, or did you just
closed? It's a weekend.
They were closed. Of course, and the VA Colorado Springs is a lot smaller than what you may get in a lot of these.
They could have drove all the way into Denver and got it, but by the time I even met up to Castle Rock in the evening, they'd have been closed anyways also.
Now, this is where the story is set up, folks. So TIG put pen to paper and he says, okay, if this is going to be how it is, well, then we need to fix this.
Yep.
Here's another problem that we have. Here's another systemic problem in the Department of Veterans Affairs, and perhaps even in the bureaucratic process of our country, even civilian side or militarily side or veteran side. There's so many things out there that need fixed that are so simple. So many of these systemic problems are so easy to fix. And I don't know why stuff like this requires legislation, folks. This should all be administrative changes that will make the lives of everybody using the system so much easier.
Yep.
Just imagine a process where it's just.
But again, everybody wants the medical coverage that veterans have. Isn't that the thing? The free medical crap.
Just streamline it. Streamline the process. Just cut out all the red tape and all of the frustration and the anger and the anxiety and everything that's created when you're just trying to get a simple prescription filled. So what did you do? You put pen to paper and you said, we need to fix this. Explain.
Yeah. So to me, it's honestly common sense, like you're saying. It should be already there. Shouldn't even been a problem. But if there all these, especially national pharmacies like Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, all the other whatever thousands of ones that are probably out there, they take Medicaid, they take Medicare, they take TRICARE. So those are all federally funded programs. So is the VA. Why are we being, because we're not we don't have again 100. If you're 100% a medical veteran, connected veteran, you get the TRICARE thing, right? So they would take the TRICARE, but now if you're not, then all you have is the VA, and that's pretty much it. So that's a federally funded program. So it made no sense to me that they wouldn't accept a veteran, because they still accept other federal medical agencies, I guess I should say. So my goal, what I'm trying to do, is to make it to where, again, if there's so many veterans that have responded that said this happens to them all the freaking time, or where the VA, their prescription comes late and now they have no way to get what they need to maintain their issues. So they can't go to Walgreens and get it filled. But this is what this is designed to do. It's where you can go to pretty much any pharmacy in the nation that accepts any federally funded medical insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE. If they accept it, where they have to accept the VA. Again, where the VA has to reimburse it's still up to the veteran to submit your paperwork, because I submitted it right away, because this is the first time I've actually went to civilian ER. So this is my first experience with this crap. So I had to actually call American Military Family, figure out what the process was to make sure I didn't get a bill, because this is related to my disability. So I started that process immediately. Went on. They sent me the paperwork stuff, and I started filling it out. So again, as veterans, you still got to do that. So getting that stuff filled out, laying that stuff out, but where the VA has to reimburse that pharmacy within 30 days. And also, like, if these pharmacies deny this bill, then the federal, they pretty much pull anything that pharmacy has from the federal government, like the Medicaid, Medicare, all that crap, which I don't think they would. I think because that's their lifeline.
And that's exactly why I was saying about, the folks that are in this country that are undocumented, because we all know that the ERs across the country in the civilian sector are overran by people that don't have their own doctors. So they use the ER as their doctor. Once they're released from the ER, which may be an hour or two, a lot of them are in there. It's not even an emergency type situation. Again, they're clogging the system, and then they go get their medicine right down the street for free. I mean, they don't even need to show an ID. Here's my prescription. I mean, really, at the end of the day, it is so easy for some folks in this country, and it's so difficult for folks like you that have given everything for this country to be treated the way you are, and that's just not fair. So what you've done is this. You said, enough is enough here. I'm going to start to ask around, and you started to ask around, and you see that this has been a problem in the country for so long. And so you said, I'm going to create and draft my own legislation. I'm going to create my own bill. If they're not going to fix it, I am, and I'm going to use my story as an example. And you just said, hey, look, we are going to name this the Veterans Emergency Pharmacy Access Act of 2025. And so basically, cut and dry, veterans discharged from emergency rooms often receive prescriptions when VA facilities are closed. Many national pharmacies, including Walgreens, do not accept VA coverage, delaying necessary care. I've heard that before, delayed and denied care. Mm-hmm. This gap in access jeopardizes veteran health and contradicts the government's duty to provide timely care, especially their duty when it comes to the Medicaid, right? And Medicare and all those other government-ran insurance companies. And it says here, too, that the VA prescription, a medication or order intended to be covered by VA insurance, emergency discharge, release from a medical facility due to urgent care. This is just getting all into the bill stuff.
Yeah. To simplify it, it just mandates all national and retail pharmacies that accept Medicaid, Medicare, TRICARE must accept VA coverage and emergency prescriptions, ensures veterans discharged, like you're saying, from ER or urgent care. We don't have to wait days. Again, I'm just now getting mine, I think, today. For life-critical medication, because VA pharmacies are closed. That includes like holidays. I mean, a lot of people forget, what about holidays? VA, they don't open on holidays whatsoever. So, and then again, creates it so they have to reimburse the pharmacies within 30 days of us getting our prescription, and then penalizes pharmacies that refuse service by suspending its access to federal programs for a certain period of time until they open up. So again, it helps veterans that are discharged after hours when VA facilities are closed. Again, national chains like Walgreens, again, they routinely reject VA insurance. They've never accepted it. So that's kind of what it is. It's just, it really doesn't cost. I mean, it really doesn't cost the taxpayers anything, in my opinion. But what I tried to do, I tried to be honest. What I kind of figured out, it may cost a total of 27 to 44 million per year, and that's about 17 cents a taxpayer, 15 cents a taxpayer.
Right, but the only additional that would only come in the form of the labor of the actual pharmacists themselves, because the medication's already paid for, by the federal government, whether it's being released within the VA or if it's being released at Walgreens or CVS or wherever you may get your medications outside of the VA.
Yeah, but
so honestly, the only thing we're paying for here is labor and their work fees. I mean, basically,
this is just kind of what I kind of for like the government.
Yeah, no, and I think that's
a $4,000 toilet seat kind of a thing. So
yeah, exactly. A $22,000 clock.
for me, they could just, instead of like reimbursing them money, just send them freaking the meds that we used, and then they're reimbursed. Honestly, that's how I feel.
And this is huge. Like when you told me about this, and I was able to kind of hang out with you for a little bit this last week, and we sat down, we talked about this, and you just start to scratch your head and say, this isn't even a thing. Like you can't, like we need to fix this, but this shouldn't even be fixable. It should already be in place. Like there should be no question about how simple this process is here and how easy it would be to fix. But you go to Congress or you go to your congressman or whoever it may be, and they look at it like it's rocket science. You're like, dude, you're making it harder than what it needs to be. Let's simplify this process here. This is very, very simple. And again, this should never require legislation. It should only require a very simple administrative change that would streamline the way that veterans receive their prescription medication once they are released from a civilian hospital. Now, the Veterans Emergency Pharmacy Access Act of 2025 will hopefully garner and gain some great traction here. Have you reached out to anybody yet?
I mean, we have. I mean, me and you kind of have. It's mainly Luttrell. I'm going to reach out to Congressman Crank also with it. Again, just try to get in, like I said, just try to get in front of as many eyes as possible. And again, it doesn't, to me, I still don't believe it's going to cost taxpayers anything, but even if it costs 20 cents per taxpayer, whatever, I don't, it is what it is. I mean, again, there's a lot of veterans that have a lot worse things than I got, and they have to wait. When I see people like, I will ask for a refill. Again, this wasn't a refill, but you ask the VA for a refill, and you pretty much got to do about 15 days prior to you running out, because it takes them 15, sometimes longer than 15 days to send me refills. So, and if you're not paying attention and you run out, and you have to wait that 15, 20 days for it actually to get to you. Again, some people say, well, it takes me 3 days. Well, good for you. But again, there's veterans who probably even takes longer than 15 days. So it shouldn't be like that. You should be able to go, especially if you live out in somewhere where there is no VA hospital. A lot of people don't realize not every city, every town has a VA facility in those locations. They have to drive hours upon hours. So, them to have that access to just go in, to me, it's life-saving. It's crucial.
And I can see this being a very, very big deal in rural communities. Like you were just saying, look, not everybody has access to a large VA hospital in their town, 2-3 hours away. I mean, look, and let's face it, so many veterans live out in rural communities, out in the heartland of America. And when they go to an emergency room, and of course, the VA is going to, redistribute those funds. They're going to make sure that stay is taken care of in the civilian world. But again, when it comes to getting your medication and your prescriptions, you think that veteran's going to wait 3 to 5 days or more? I mean, look at you. It's been 10 days or more to get your prescriptions, to get your medication. No, you're going to end up right back at the ER almost every single day, depending on how critical the care you're needing or how critical the the medication that you need to be taking is. All you're going to be doing is living in the ER, when it could just be as simple as just walking across the street, going to your super Walmart or Target, wherever it may be, to get your medications and your prescriptions picked up and filled and move about your day. And then you can schedule out to go follow up with your VA provider once you've gotten somewhat medicated and you're starting to kind of maybe fix on what's going on. Now you can plan on going to the VA hospital and and being seen.
Which that appointment is until September.
Yeah, how is it that, again, how is it in 2025 you have a veteran that goes to the hospital for urgent needs, back issues, and
walk?
Yeah, they give you handfuls of pills, and then you call them for follow-up, and you can't even get in for a month and a half to 2 months. You want to know why veterans are stuck in alcohol dependency and drugs and everything else, because it's almost like if we wait long enough, the veteran just might take care of himself.
Yep.
And that's just not how you do business. We can do better. But here we are, all these years later, we're still talking about the same things. We're still talking about the same things that happen to World War II veterans and to Vietnam veterans and to every veteran in this country. We're still talking about it. It's the bureaucratic red tape nightmare of this country that, yes, things do improve, things do get better. But again, when we're sitting here talking about getting a simple prescription filled at a Walgreens for a veteran and they get turned away, that right there is unacceptable.
Yeah, again, not even opioid, not even a controlled substance, I guess, either. So it's asinine, but hopefully this will help change. It's just a matter of like you said, getting the word out there, getting in front of congressmen and even senators and getting them to sign on to the bill and get it pushed through. I mean, you've done it more than I have. I don't really know the true process. I just know it's a pain in the ass from you.
It is. It is. And it should never require a private citizen doing the job that Congress has failed to do. But that's what happens when you're elected to go political grandstand and to go act and perform in theater. Me, I'm not an actor. I'm not very good at theatrics. I'm just a no nonsense, the buck stops here type kind of guy like you are. And, somebody's got to go to bat for the veteran community. And unfortunately, a lot of the times, the folks that do get off the sidelines and put themselves into the games are the ones that were railroaded by the system. Now, this here, your bill, the Veterans Emergency Pharmacy Access Act of 2025. Well, it's not a bill yet. This is a solution, guys, to a problem here. Now, I have sent this directly to Congressman Morgan Luttrell about, 8, 9, 10 days ago. Unfortunately, there's so much going on in the country and in the world that when the sitting member of Congress is dealing with A to Z every single day and all the insanity. I mean, guys, our country revolves around a 30-second breaking news cycle.
Yep.
And these guys and gals have so much stuff being tossed their way. And then when they look at a pharmacy access for veteran, they're like, yeah, I'm not going to put that on the very top of my pile. I've got national security. I've got, all this other stuff that's going to be running a lot more high profile and a lot, more on the, more important side than the, so a lot of this stuff gets, put by the wayside or even shit can. So that's why you got to stay up on them and say, hey, look, this is important because we have 20.2 million American veterans in this country that deserve better. And when they can't get to a VA, when they have to go to a civilian emergency room, they should be able to get the medications and the prescriptions filled that the doctor gave them to make it a non-emergency issue, which was why they were there first. And then they can follow up with the VA, and then they can get their VA medication and prescriptions and everything like that once they get home and they get somewhat meted up again to start to fix why they were there in the first place. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to continue to push this, John. It's good work and kudos for you for drafting this. I mean, it's very well done. It's a 2-page bill here. And to me, again, maybe they could just make this change administratively, and like you said here, look, this is going to take effect 90 days after the administrative change is done, or if this does become a bill and it gets passed. I just can't see them wasting so much time on this actually being an actual bill issue when they already take federal insurance at all these, private sector prescription dispensaries across the country, if you will.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that there's probably just not a process for them to accept it right now. I think that's probably the issue. That's probably where the upfront cost is going to come down to, just that administrative portion of it, of getting everything in the computer, getting everything processed and all that crap. I think but it should be kind of there because of TRICARE, Medicaid, Medicare should be a pretty easy function, I would think. But
yeah. To me, it's almost like a plug and play.
Yeah.
Because the federal buttons are already there.
Mm-hmm.
And how they get,
reimbursed.
And how they get reimbursed, it's already there in the system. So you just add another button. Mm-hmm. And so when the veteran comes in, you're hitting that button, that goes directly to where it's got to go to in DC. And that bill gets paid the same way as these other bills get paid, the Medicaid and all this other ones, because like I said, it's already there. So to me, it's plug and play.
I mean, it could be a kind of a racist bill too, because you're going to have your ID. Because, having IDs is considered racist, right? Or is that just for elections? Maybe that's just for elections. Sorry.
That's another great bill idea there too. You would think, look, I'm almost 50 years old. And if I go out and I get an alcoholic beverage, they're going to ID me.
Right.
This just happened. I got a glass of wine a couple of weeks ago. And they're like, "Sir, can I see your ID?" I said, "Are you kidding?" They're like, "This ain't worth my job." And I'm like, "You're serious?" "Oh, we're dead serious, sir." "All right, here it is." So it's not worth this 23-year-old server's job, but it's worth our country and our national security. Right? So you're going to go do some of the most important things that you can do as a citizen in the United States of America and perform your civic duty. You have to show your ID only, basically, if you're a citizen. If you're a non-citizen, come on, come one, come all. Right. You can do whatever you want. Here, we're going to give you free reign to do whatever you want, and you can change our country to make it more like the one you fled from.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. But again, we want to make this so easy for folks that didn't come here the right way and that are leeching off of the system, rather than fixing a system that's shattered to benefit the very folks that served, fought, defended, and pay in to the system. Folks, where did we go wrong?
I could say something, but I'll be...
Tig, how can we help, man? Look, every veteran out there wants to see great positive change, and it does take, there's so many people out there that are always just willing to participate when it comes verbally. They badmouth this, they trash this, but it's so easy to just sit back and complain and whine about things. And it takes a little bit of energy to get up and say, I'm going to make a call to a member of Congress or to, somebody who can make a decision on moving forward on things becoming better. Like, what do you have to say to those veterans out there that are always complaining about the system, but don't ever do anything to fix it?
You're just going to have them, unfortunately. Again, to me, I saw the problem and come up with a solution to try to fix it. That's it. That's all I did. Again, you're always going to have those ones. Well, I can get mine in 2 days. I can get my whatever. I really don't care about you because not everyone is like you. There's other people who do struggle. There are veterans who struggle. There's veterans who actually can't pay for the prescription out of their pocket because they just don't have, depends on what the prescription is. So, that to me, that's even a moot point. Like, well, it's not expensive to get them. Actually, for some things it is. Just because yours is not doesn't mean another guy's isn't. But how to help, honestly, I don't know. What do you think? We can post that bill so people can just download it and they send it to their congressman, and everybody just keeps hitting them up on social media, sharing it to them until they pick it up. I mean, that's, again, you've been in this process longer than I have with bills and stuff, trying to get in front of these guys.
I just wanted your opinion on it.
I mean, that's kind of how I would do it. I'll just share it on social media and say, hey, send this to your congressman. Tell them to freaking get it out there and get it on the floor, or figure out a better way to pass it or get it done administratively.
Mm-hmm.
But
I wonder if we can. It would be great if we can get the Secretary of the VA, Doug Collins, on this podcast. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I think we get a lot of things, maybe a lot of questions answered that many veterans out there may have that kind of just seem so disenfranchised, with the system. And a lot of the times it doesn't matter if it's, if you're on the blue ticket or if you're on the red ticket.
Nope.
We as veterans in this country all have that one commonality, and that commonality is the Department of Veterans Affairs. So let's not make this political, because it's not. This is 100% a nonpartisan deal here to improve the lives of all veterans out there. And this would be a great question to ask Doug Collins. Say, why aren't pharmacies more accessible, or accessible at all, to the veteran community? Why do they have to go through a different process when the process is already established there? Like I said, all you got to do is just add another button. Mm-hmm. It's all going to get billed to the same place. Okay, you take it out of the VA budget. Great. You're going to save on the other end, because if the veteran was going to go to the VA hospital, okay, and he gets and they get medication out of there, well, it's going to draw from that budget and it's going to add over here. So the money is going to stay the same. The only thing that's going to switch hands is that you're going to be paying the pharmacists and the people that are bagging your medication, all that stuff at CVS and Walgreens and all that stuff. You're just going to have to add to their workload, but when you have all these pharmacies across the country, it's not going to be that much of a deal. You're going to have a veteran in there getting, but that's going to be the only difference, in my eyes. But what's going to happen when that veteran is in there picking up a prescription? They're going to get other things. They might get a loaf of bread. They might get a gallon of milk. They might get some candy for their kids. So really, at the end of the day, they're going to be spending money while they're in there. Chances are you're not going to go in there just to get your prescription. Something will jump out at you and you're going to end up spending money in there. So what's that going to do? It's going to raise your local economy. More money is going to be being spent in your neighborhoods. You get veterans out, and they're engaging even more now in the veteran community, or they're engaging, even more now in their local communities. I think there's a lot of good here, a lot of upside here. Just something so simple, just having access to getting a prescription in town.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, this is simple stuff here.
One would think.
This is the Today with Tally podcast.